What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on the Philistine YouTube channel, and in today's video I'm going to be going over my round 19 2022 AFL tips and predictions, and obviously as well as that, like we always do, we're going to be going back over my round 18 tips from last week and seeing how I went. If you guys go on to enjoy this video and you've been enjoying my content that I've been putting out recently with some of the match day vlogs, and if you're going to enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button, share with a mate as well by clicking that share button, and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. And yeah, we're so close to 300 subscribers. I think we're only 7 or 8 away. So yeah, please consider subscribing if you are new. But anyways, without any further ado, yeah, let's get stuck into it. So for last week, as far as the tipping goes, for round 18 last week, I got a 7 out of 9, which was probably better than a lot of people, actually. I think a lot of people probably would have got 5 or 6. I've been getting 5 or 6 the last couple of weeks, and honestly, I thought I could have done better. I was due for a 7 one week, and I finally got a 7 this week. The first game from Marvel Stadium on the Friday night was obviously the mediocre clash, if you could call it that, between the Dogs and the Saints. The Dogs got it done by 28 points in the end. As you can see on screen, I actually did change the margin for this game, sneakily. I did originally tip 12 or 13, I think, in the video last week, but I did change it to 21. I don't know why, I'm just terrible with margins, so honestly, it did me a little bit better. I was only 7 off on the margin as well, so not a bad way to start the week, if I'm going to be honest. Next game at the Adelaide Oval, we had the Crows and Collingwood, and yeah, this was an absolute cracker. I didn't watch the game. I watched the replay that I watched the highlights of this game. I didn't really watch it, but from what I saw, Collingwood were pretty good. Adelaide had a late fight back. They were in the game, the Crows, and they're a very different side at Adelaide Oval, as we all know. But the Pies, just a class above the Crows, and Nick Dacos is pretty much the rising star, I reckon, at this point. Next game in Canberra, we've got the Giants. We had the Giants and Brisbane, and look, no real contest here. Brisbane were just the far better side. The Giants were quite poor. The Lions did have a few people coming back in, such as Hugh McCluggage, who was great on the weekend. Shout out to him. Next game at Marvel Stadium, North Melbourne and Richmond. I don't even want to discuss Richmond because they were that bad. They don't even deserve to be talked about. Yeah, I'm just going to harp on the positive here. I'm not going to be negative. North Melbourne were just the far better side for longer. We had a late fight back, but that's really all I'm going to say. For us, we were just deplorable. North Melbourne, it seems to be a curse with the new coach. Something, Lee Adams, or I think his name is, got his first win as the coach of North Melbourne. But yeah, North got a pretty good win, and as painful as that was as a Richmond supporter, it's kind of good to see North Melbourne get a win after the horror year they've had, honestly. Next game at the MCG, we had the Blues and the Cats. Not really much to talk about this game. The Cats just got a pretty comfortable victory. I have been tipping the Blues a lot this year, and I thought this could be a step too far for the Blues, even though they have come a long way. Pretty good game up until half-time when the Cats just took over in that second half. Next game at Optus Stadium between Fremantle and the Sydney Swans. The Swans actually got this one done. Surprisingly, I didn't really see this one coming. I thought Fremantle in Perth were they have a great record over there in Perth, especially this year. The Dockers, they know that ground probably better than most teams, but the Swans just held them out of the contest, and after quarter time really looked like they played some seriously good footy, the Swans. But great win by the Swans, though. That should never be underestimated, that win. That is a great win on the road. Next game at the MCG, we had the Hawks and the Eagles. Not really much to say about this game. The Hawks were just the far better side. Luke Bruce put on 6 goals. Shout out to him as well. Next game up in Alice Springs, I should say. I was about to say Darwin. We had the D's and Port Adelaide. I didn't really watch this game either, but from what I saw, I did watch a little bit. I watched about a quarter. But from what I saw, the D's started slow, but just propelled themselves back into the contest, and it was just a little bit, I think their pressure was just too much for Port Adelaide, and even without Clayton Oliver, the D's just show they are just a class above Port Adelaide. And the final game of the round at Marvel Stadium between the Bombers and the Suns, and I'm really proud of this tip, honestly. I went against the odds. I think the Suns were favourites for this game from what I saw. But I went against the odds. I knew Essendon were playing good footy. Couple people overlooked them. I didn't. I knew they had it in them, Essendon. And I thought Gold Coast, they're due for a loss. So, I'm kind of proud of that tip, if I'm going to be honest. So, which takes me to, like I said, 7 out of 9. Probably my best score this year. Those were my round 18 tips. And let's now move on to the round 19 tip. Alrighty, so here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Round number 19. So first game on Friday night. I'm actually not looking forward to this. I'm not even going to pretend like I'm looking forward to this one. We got Richmond up against Fremantle. Now, I said it off camera, but I'm not, after that North Melbourne game, I'm not tipping Richmond again until they win. So I know, it's at Marvel as well. We play horrible at Marvel. Freo aren't the best team at Marvel. They did lose to the Blues there, although they belted St Kilda there, and Essendon earlier in the year. And I think Freo should win this one. I think I've really rated the Dockers all year. They've been one of my favourite teams all year. I've said that a number of times, but yeah, just the way they play. Freo, they did have a down game last week, but I feel like they can bounce back and win this one pretty comfortably. I'm going to say 17 points. I think Freo get this one done by 17 points. I think, we won't only go against Richmond, but I think in the form we are in at the moment, we've just lost to a side who won one game for the entire year, now won 2. I'm expecting Freo to win that one by 17 points. Next game at Blundstone Arena, we've got North Melbourne and Hawthorne. Wow, this is an interesting game. Obviously, North Melbourne, they've had a good fortnight. They took it up to Collingwood. They beat us, and they've really started to show some signs. The Roos. So Hawthorne, they've had a good fortnight as well. They've come off 2 wins against the Crows and West Coast. Albeit they're not great sides, I'm going to be honest, but you'd expect Hawthorne. I'm tempted to pick North Melbourne here, although the upsets kind of screw me over, so I'm not sure. I'm going to go Hawthorne to win this one by, I'm going to say 11 points. I think it will be close, but I think the Hawks will just get it. Not a comfortable victory. 11 points isn't really comfortable, but just a nice cruisy victory to make it. Next game at the SCG, we've got the Swans up against the Crows. I think this should be a pretty easy one. I know the Swans aren't the greatest team at their home ground, which kind of sounds a bit weird to say, but the Swans, they can sometimes be undone at the SCG, but I think against the Crows, they should be just fine. I think in that one, I'm going to say I can't really see the Crows winning, if I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say the Swans by 23 points. I think they will be fine in that one. For the Adelaide Oval, we've got Port Adelaide and the Geelong Football Club. Obviously Geelong, they're flying at the moment, easily premiership favourites in my opinion at the moment. And Port Adelaide, well, out of finals contention. If they win, there's a slim chance, but I think it's pretty much season over for the Power. It is at Adelaide Oval. That could give them a bit of a home ground advantage. It does give them a home ground advantage. I'm going to tip the Cats, though. I think they've been in some great form as recently. Hawkins and Cameron have been unstoppable this year. And you look at guys like Sam De Koning, shout out to him. He's an absolute star. He is arguably up there with Nick Dacos in the rising star, I reckon. And guys like Tom Atkins and Cam Guthrie have just been unbelievable for the Cats this year. So I think the Cats get this one done. I'm going to say 21 points. I think the Cats win this one, although Port Adelaide in Adelaide's not an easy task. So I could see Port Adelaide winning, but I'm going to go Geelong as a little bit of a safe tip there. Next game at the Gabba, we've got the Lions and the Suns. Now, if you had told me this game last week, last week, I probably would have thought, well, this is an absolute beauty. You've got Gold Coast who have just come off a brilliant win over Richmond, and you've got Brisbane who aren't in the greatest form, but now it's completely the other way around. Gold Coast, horror loss to Essendon, it must be said, although Essendon have been in some great form, let's not forget. And the Lions, well, they just toyed with GWS pretty much. And I think they get this one done. They haven't lost a Q Clash in a very long time. I think it was 2017, 2018. They lost a Q Clash, the Lions. So it's been a very long time. And I think they just continue that trend. The Lions, especially at the Gabba, the Lions should get this one done. I'm actually going to say pretty comfortably. I'm going to say 32 points. I'm going to make it. The Lions get that one done over the Suns. Next game at Marvel Stadium, we've got the second of the grand final replays this year. Obviously, these two played off earlier in the year. It's the Bulldogs and Melbourne, obviously. At Marvel Stadium this time, not at the MCG, which could and should play into the Doggies' hands here. I mean, they had a good win against the Saints last week, the Dogs, albeit though they really stopped after half time and didn't really look like the team they were in the first half. They looked like a completely different side. Whereas the D's, they got a pretty professional win, it must be said, over Port Adelaide, keeping their top of the ladder chances alive and just still nipping at Geelong's heels there for the top of the table clash. The Dogs at Marvel are a very different side. However, they do struggle against the big teams, the big dogs of the comp. So I'm going to tip the D's to win this one. Not too comfortably. I think it'll be similar to the Port Adelaide game. I think they'll start slow, they'll come back, the Dogs will have a lapse, and the D's will run over the top of them. I'm going to say the D's get that one done by 15 points. I think they will be too good for the Dogs there. Next game at Marvel Stadium, we got the Blues up against the Giants. The Blues, well, they can't really be faulted for their game against Geelong. They are playing probably the best side in the comp at the moment. The Cats, they can't really be faulted for that. They did have a crack, the Blues. It's not like they didn't show up at all. Whereas the Giants, well, they were just non-competitive almost against the Lions. The Lions were just walking in goals at one point. Hugh McCluggage ripped them apart. So you'd expect a bit more from the Giants, even though they've had a poor year. The Blues at Marvel have been almost an unstoppable force. They've only lost one game, and that was to the Saints there, who are also a Marvel team, let's not forget. I can't see GWS winning this one. So I'm going to go the Blues pretty comfortably as well. I'm going to say 40 points. I think like I said, the Blues at Marvel, they beat GWS earlier in the year by 30 points. I think it'll be a similar result. Giants, next game at the MCG between Collingwood and Essendon, the Anzac Day rematch between these two sides. This is a beauty if you've ever seen one. Collingwood have won 8 in a row, I think now. They're absolutely flying at the moment. Collingwood, they just seem to get the job done. No matter how close, no matter how far, they seem to just get the job done. Whereas Essendon, wow, they are flying as well. They've knocked off Sydney. It all started with that win against St Kilda. They did lose to West Coast, but then they come out and beat Sydney and Brisbane, and now Gold Coast. So, wow, they are flying at the moment, Essendon. Now, as a Richmond fan, you're sort of born to hate Collingwood, and I don't like using hate. It's a bit of a strong word, but I'm gonna go the upset. I'm gonna go the Bombers. They did it last week, the Bombers, and if they can do that, I'm tipping them again. I'm tipping the Bombers in that one, not by much. I'm going to say 7 points. The Bombers win that one. I think that'll be an absolute classic at the G. But Collingwood, they got to lose at some point. Surely they got to lose. They can't. They've won like 6 close games this year, the Pies. So surely they can't get away with another one. So I might say that now and look like an absolute fool next week. But anyways, I'm going to tip the Bombers in an upset, probably as my upset for the week. The Bombers get that one done by 7 points. And the final game of the round at Optus Stadium. Now, I saw Cardi's video. He's going to this game, obviously, between West Coast and St Kilda. Well, this is more interesting than it sounds, honestly. Well, the Saints, pretty poor, I'd have to say, last week. The Saints against not the best side in the Dogs, let's be real. And the Eagles weren't terrible against Hawthorne. I mean, you know, they could have got blown out by 100 points, but they didn't let that happen, West Coast. So, good on them, but I don't know. Oh, wow, this is tough. Do I go another upset and go West Coast? The upsets have been letting me down a little bit. So I'm not going to go too many upsets. I've already got my upset for the week in the Bombers. So, you know what? I'm going to go the safe option here and tip the Saints. They're not a bad side when they're on the Saints. Like I said, you know, their forward line can be inconsistent. But like I said, when it's on, it's on. If Max King has a big game, yeah, the Saints should normally at least play well and often win. And I think it all depends on how West Coast start the game, though. I mean, you saw that game when they played there against Carlton. They didn't score in the first quarter, so they can't let that happen again, West Coast. So I think nail-biter, but I'm going to go the Saints to win this one. Pretty closely, actually. I'm going to say 19 points. The Saints get that one done by. I think West Coast, they're not afraid to put up a fight, West Coast, and I think they'd like their chances, especially against the Saints, who haven't been in the greatest form. So I think West Coast, yeah, they'll like their chances, but I'm going to say the Saints win that one by 19 points. So going back over my tips for this week, I tipped Fremantle over Richmond. Hopefully not, but yeah, you know, just in case the game does go that way, I tipped Fremantle by 17 points. I tipped Hawthorne over North Melbourne. I think I said, 11 points. Tipped Sydney over Adelaide by 23 points. I tipped Geelong over Port Adelaide by 21. I tipped Brisbane over Gold Coast in the Q Clash. I think I said like 30 points or something. I tipped the D's over the Dogs in the second of the two grand final rematches this year by 15 points. I tipped the Blues pretty comfortably over GWS. I tipped Essendon as my upset over Collingwood, which could be a massive call, but if it comes off, that could be a game-changing tip in itself. And I tipped the Saints over West Coast, even though I think West Coast, like I said, they fancy their chances. So yeah, those are my round 19 tips. But before we go, as always, we're going to check the comp, see if I've moved up anywhere. And oh, I have, yes, come on. Yeah, back in the top 4. Here we go. I've overtaken Angus, who's slid down to 5th. Me and him have just swapped spots pretty much. Saint Light 12, he got a 5. He's on top of the ladder. He's got 105 correct tips. So yeah, with second on the ladder, we've got Sam H or Khan the Catters. He's on 102 correct tips for the year. He got a 6. Magpie Army 2016 also got a 6, and he's on 100 correct tips exactly. Like I said, I got a 7. I'm on 98, 2 away from the 100, so surely get there this week. Angus, who's on the same amount of tips as me, he got a 5 this week though, unfortunately for him. Shannon Humphrey's got a 7 as well. He is on 97 correct tips. Sitting in 6th there, Shannon. Eating Sunscreen or Jake L, he got a 5. He's on 97 as well. He's in 7th. Lou the Legend or Louie is on 8. He got a 6. He's on 91. Lincoln got a 7 as well. He's on 90. He is coming for Louie, baby. Go on, Lincoln. Go overtake Louie. Anyways, we got Lincoln in 9th. Victor B, who's dropped 1 spot actually now. Lincoln's overtaken him now. That's massive. Victor B slid down to 10th, just 1 spot. He's on 89 correct tips. He's got a 5 this week. And both D's Nut and Adam the Goat 37. They are on 57 and 54 correct tips respectively, both getting a 4 from last week. So that is my ladder for or after round 18. Like I said, as always, shout out to all these people for joining the comp. If you want to join it, it'll be in the description, it'll be in the pinned comment, like it always is. So anyways, those were my round 19 tips, and yeah, that is my comp ladder after. So there we go, guys. Those were my round 19 tips for this upcoming round. Comment down below your tips. If you're not in my comp, let me know how you went from round 18 in joining my tipping comp. It'll be in the link in the description, and it'll also be in the pinned comment. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. As always, remember to like, share, subscribe. Like I said, so close to 300 subscribers. That's going to be another massive milestone to tick off when we do get there. Like I've said, I'm trying to hit it by the final. So if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing it. And yeah, it'll mean a lot. Nonetheless, thank you so much for watching. As always, yeah, like I said, like, share, subscribe. Have a great day. And yeah, I will see you in the next video. Cheers!
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want, and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing.